when 34-year-old hiking guide Sarah Martinez vanished without a trace in the Colorado wilderness. Search teams scoured every trail, every canyon, and every possible route for 9 agonizing days. Helicopters, drones, and hundreds of volunteers found nothing but dead ends and false hopes. Just when authorities were about to call off the search, a mysterious German shepherd appeared at the command center and refused to leave. The dog had no owner, no identification, and no apparent connection to the missing woman. But when he finally led police deep into the mountains, what they discovered defied all explanation and revealed a story of survival, sacrifice, and an unbreakable bond that would challenge everything they thought they knew about loyalty, instinct, and the incredible lengths some will go to protect the innocent. Get ready for a tale that proves sometimes the most extraordinary heroes come in the most unexpected forms. The alarm was raised at 7:23 p.m. on a Tuesday evening when Sarah Martinez, an experienced hiking guide and wilderness survival instructor, failed to return from what should have been a routine solo scouting expedition in the Rocky Mountain National Park. Sarah, known for her meticulous planning and unwavering punctuality, had left that morning at dawn to survey new trail routes for her adventure tourism company, promising her business partner and best friend, Elena Rodriguez, that she would be back by 5 p.m. Elena had waited at Sarah's cabin until 6:30, then drove to the park's main entrance where Sarah had signed in that morning. Park Ranger Mike Harrison, a 15-year veteran who knew Sarah personally, immediately understood the gravity of the situation. Sarah Martinez wasn't the type of person who got lost or made careless mistakes in the wilderness. She knew better than most people knew their own neighborhoods. She left detailed notes about her intended route. Elena explained to the rapidly assembling search team, her voice tight with worry. She was planning to explore the north face of Bear Mountain, looking for potential camping sites for a new 3-day expedition package. She had GPS, satellite phone, emergency beacon, all the gear. The initial search began at first light the following day, with park rangers joined by Colorado search and rescue volunteers. Sarah's route should have taken her through well-marked trails that she had hiked dozens of times before. Her vehicle was found exactly where it should be, in the designated parking area, with all her backup supplies still locked inside. Detective Jennifer Walsh from the Park County Sheriff's Department coordinated the ground search while helicopter teams from the Colorado National Guard scoured the area from above. By the third day, they had covered a 50-square-mile area with no trace of Sarah. No dropped equipment, no footprints, no signs of struggle or accident. "It's like she just evaporated," Detective Walsh told the assembled search teams during their evening briefing. "We found hikers who were lost for weeks in this terrain, but we always find some trace, a piece of clothing, footprints, something. This is different." Sarah's disappearance made local and then national news as the search expanded. Her story resonated with people across the country. A 34-year-old woman who had dedicated her life to helping others safely experience the wilderness, now vanished without explanation in the mountains she loved. Her adventure tourism company specialized in teaching survival skills to corporate groups and families, and she was known throughout Colorado's outdoor community for her expertise and safety record. Elena provided investigators with detailed information about Sarah's mental state and recent activities. There had been no personal problems, no financial troubles, no indication that she might have chosen to disappear voluntarily. Sarah was planning to expand her business and had recently begun a relationship with Dr. Marcus Thompson, a veterinarian from nearby Boulder. She was happy, Elena insisted to anyone who would listen. She had everything to live for. She wouldn't just disappear, and she definitely wouldn't put everyone through this kind of worry. Something happened to her out there. As the search entered its 5th day, the weather began to deteriorate. Late spring snowstorms were common in the high country, and temperatures at night were dropping below freezing. The window for survival was closing rapidly, even for someone with Sarah's extensive training and experience. Searchers had expanded their grid to include increasingly remote and dangerous terrain. They checked abandoned mining shafts, explored canyon systems, and followed every game trail that might have confused or misled a disoriented hiker. Search dogs had been brought in from 3 different counties, but none had been able to pick up a consistent scent trail. By day 7, the official search was beginning to wind down. Resources were stretched thin, volunteers were exhausted, and the harsh reality was setting in that Sarah Martinez might never be found. The mountains had claimed another victim, leaving behind only questions and heartbreak. But unknown to the search teams, their greatest ally was already on his way to help them, driven by an instinct and purpose that defied all logical explanation. On the 8th day of the search, just as authorities were preparing to scale back operations to a limited recovery mission, Something extraordinary happened that would change the course of the entire investigation. At approximately 6:15 a.m., as the search command center was setting up for what many believed would be their final day of active searching, a large German Shepherd appeared at the perimeter of the base camp. The dog was magnificent. A purebred with a classic black and tan coat, intelligent dark eyes, and the confident bearing that marked him as a well-trained animal. But what struck everyone immediately was his behavior. Unlike a lost or stray dog, he didn't approach for food or attention. Instead, he positioned himself at the edge of the search area and began what could only be described as his own vigil. He just showed up out of nowhere, reported Sergeant Lisa Martinez, no relation to the missing Sarah, from the Park County Sheriff's Department. One minute the area was empty, the next minute he was there, sitting perfectly still, watching everything we were doing. Detective Walsh approached the dog cautiously, expecting him to either flee or seek attention like most strays. Instead, the German Shepherd allowed her to examine him briefly before returning his focus to the search teams. He had no collar, no identification tags, and no microchip that could be detected with the portable scanner. "He's in excellent condition," observed Dr. Rachel Foster, a local veterinarian who volunteered to examine the dog. "Well-fed, well-groomed, clearly trained. This is someone's beloved pet, not a stray." But there have been no reports of a missing German Shepherd in any of the surrounding counties. What made the dog's appearance even more puzzling was his behavior toward the search efforts. As teams prepared to head out for the day, the German Shepherd became increasingly agitated. He would pace back and forth, whine softly, and position himself in the path of departing search groups. When teams returned unsuccessful at the end of each shift, he would approach them with what appeared to be disappointment. Elena Rodriguez, who had been maintaining a constant presence at the command center, was the first to suggest what everyone was thinking but hesitant to voice. What if he's trying to help? What if he knows something about Sarah? The idea seemed far-fetched, but several search team members had noticed the dog's unusual reactions to their activities. When they spread out maps and discussed search areas, he would approach and appear to study the terrain charts. When helicopter teams reported their findings over the radio, his ears would prick up with obvious attention. Search and Rescue Coordinator Tom Bradley, a man with 30 years of experience in wilderness emergencies, had seen trained search dogs work before, but this was different. "Search dogs are trained to follow commands and work with specific handlers," he explained to the gathered volunteers. "This dog isn't responding to any of our people, but he's definitely trying to communicate something." The breakthrough came when volunteer searcher Jake Williams returned from an unsuccessful sweep of the eastern canyons. As Jake spread his topographical map on a table to mark the areas he had covered, the German Shepherd approached and did something that left everyone speechless. The dog carefully sniffed the map, then placed his paw decisively on a specific area, a remote section of the mountain's north face that was far beyond the original search grid. When Jake moved the map, the dog repositioned his paw to the exact same location. "He's showing us where to go," Elena breathed, her eyes filling with tears of hope for the first time in over a week. "Somehow he knows where Sarah is." Detective Walsh was skeptical but intrigued. In her 15 years of law enforcement, she had learned to pay attention to unusual sources of information, especially when conventional methods had failed. The area the dog had indicated was treacherous terrain that required technical climbing skills, which was why it had been given lower priority in the search grid. "It could be a coincidence," she said carefully. "But at this point we've exhausted almost every other option. If we're going to search that area anyway as part of our final sweep, maybe we should take our new friend here along." What none of them could have imagined was that the German Shepherd was about to lead them to a discovery that would redefine everything they thought they knew about survival, sacrifice, and the bonds that connect all living beings. At first light on the 9th day, a specialized technical rescue team assembled to follow the German Shepherd's mysterious guidance. The area he had indicated on the map was some of the most challenging terrain in the park. A series of steep ravines and rocky outcroppings on the north face of Bear Mountain that required climbing equipment and advanced wilderness skills to navigate safely. The team consisted of Detective Walsh, Search and Rescue Coordinator Tom Bradley, Technical Climbing Specialist Maria Santos, and Park Ranger Mike Harrison. The German Shepherd, who they had started calling Guide for lack of a better name, waited patiently as they gathered their equipment, his intelligent eyes never leaving their preparations. "I've been working search and rescue for 3 decades, Tom Bradley confided to Detective Walsh as they checked their climbing gear, "and I've never seen anything like this. That dog knows exactly where he wants us to go." As the team began their ascent into the remote terrain, Guide's behavior became even more remarkable. Rather than running ahead or wandering off as most dogs would, he maintained a steady pace that perfectly matched the human's climbing abilities. When they reached technical sections requiring ropes and specialized equipment, he would wait patiently at safe positions, watching their progress with what appeared to be understanding. "Look at how he's moving," observed Maria Santos, the climbing specialist, as they navigated a particularly challenging rock face. "He's not just familiar with this terrain, he's been this way recently. See how he avoids the loose rocks and unstable areas? He knows the safe route." The deeper they went into the wilderness, the more convinced the team became that Guide was leading them somewhere specific. His movements were too purposeful, too directed to be random. Every turn he took, every pause he made, seemed calculated to guide them safely through terrain that would have been nearly impossible to navigate without his help. After 4 hours of difficult climbing and hiking, they reached an area that didn't appear on any of their topographical maps. A hidden valley nestled between steep canyon walls, accessible only through a narrow passage that would be invisible to aerial searchers. Guide stopped at the entrance to this hidden area and looked back at the team with unmistakable expectation. "My God," whispered Park Ranger Harrison as they followed Guide into the secluded valley. "I've been working these mountains for 15 years and I never knew this place existed." The valley was approximately 2 acres in size, surrounded by towering rock walls that created a natural amphitheater. A small stream ran through the center, fed by a waterfall cascading down from the heights above. It was a place of extraordinary beauty, but more importantly, it was completely hidden from any conventional search method. Guide led them directly to a large outcropping of rocks near the back of the valley, where his behavior changed dramatically. He began pacing back and forth, whining softly, and pawing at the ground with obvious agitation. The search team approached carefully, unsure what they might find. "There," Detective Walsh said suddenly, pointing to a section of rocks that appeared to have been deliberately arranged. "Someone's been here." As they moved closer, they could see clear signs of human presence. Carefully placed stones that formed a windbreak, the remains of a small fire, and what appeared to be a makeshift shelter constructed from branches and natural materials. But there was no sign of Sarah Martinez. "Sarah!" Tom Bradley called out, his voice echoing off the canyon walls. "Sarah, can you hear us?" The response came not from Sarah but from Guide. The German Shepherd had moved to a specific spot near the shelter and was digging frantically at what appeared to be a pile of rocks and debris. His behavior was so urgent, so desperate that the entire team rushed to help him. As they began moving rocks and clearing debris, Detective Walsh's radio crackled to life with a transmission from the base camp. "Team Alpha, be advised we've received a call from a resident in Estes Park reporting a missing German Shepherd. Dog disappeared from their property 9 days ago, same day as the Martinez disappearance. Owner's name is Sarah Martinez." The team stopped their work and stared at Guide with newfound understanding. This wasn't a mysterious helper who had appeared out of nowhere. This was Sarah's own dog, and he had been searching for his owner just as desperately as they had. But if Guide was here and Sarah's shelter was here, where was Sarah herself? The revelation that Guide was Sarah's own German Shepherd, a dog named Rex according to the missing person report they had somehow overlooked, transformed everything about the search. Detective Walsh immediately radioed base camp for Sarah's complete file, including any information about pets or animals that might have been with her. According to Elena Rodriguez, Sarah never took Rex on her scouting expeditions, came the response from base camp. She always left him at home because she said the terrain was too dangerous for him. No one reported him missing because they assumed he was with family or at a boarding facility. Tom Bradley looked at Rex with new respect and growing concern. "So you've been out here for 9 days looking for Sarah just like we have," he said softly to the dog. "But you knew where to find this place. You've been here before." As they continued clearing the debris from the area where Rex had been digging, the evidence of Sarah's presence became overwhelming. They found her survival gear carefully organized under a natural rock overhang, her emergency supplies rationed and stored with the methodical precision of someone planning for an extended stay. Her journal, wrapped in plastic to protect it from moisture, contained detailed entries spanning 7 days. Detective Walsh read aloud from the journal as the team continued their search. "Day 3, Rex found me somehow. Don't know how he tracked me here, but he appeared yesterday morning like a miracle. His presence changes everything. Can't leave now, not when they need me." "They?" Maria Santos asked. "Who is they?" The answer came from Rex himself. As the search team read Sarah's journal entries, the German Shepherd moved to yet another area of the hidden valley and began the same urgent digging behavior that had led them to Sarah's camp. This time they could hear something beneath the rocks and debris, a sound that made them work with desperate speed. What they uncovered defied all rational explanation and revealed the true reason for Sarah's disappearance. Beneath a carefully constructed shelter of rocks and branches, they found 3 German Shepherd puppies, barely old enough to have their eyes open, huddled together for warmth. The puppies were alive but clearly weak from hunger and exposure. "She's been protecting them," Tom Bradley said in amazement as they carefully extracted the tiny animals. "Sarah found these puppies somehow and stayed here to keep them alive." Rex's behavior now made perfect sense. He whined softly as the humans examined his offspring, his tail wagging with relief and anxiety in equal measure. The journal entries told the rest of the story. Sarah had discovered the puppies on her second day in the valley, apparently abandoned or orphaned, and had made the impossible decision to risk her own life to save theirs. Day 4. "The puppies are so small, maybe 2 weeks old. Mother must have been killed or scared off. They won't survive without constant care. Rex and I are taking shifts keeping them warm, using my emergency rations to make formula. If rescue comes, they'll take me out of here and the puppies will die. Can't let that happen." Detective Walsh's radio crackled with urgent communication from the base camp. A volunteer searcher had reported seeing a person moving near the waterfall at the back of the valley. As the team looked up from the puppies, they could see a figure emerging from behind the cascading water. Sarah Martinez herself, looking thin and exhausted but very much alive. "You found them," Sarah called out as she approached, her voice hoarse but strong. "Thank God you found them. I've been hiding in the cave behind the waterfall whenever I heard helicopters. I couldn't risk you taking me out and leaving the puppies behind." The reunion between Sarah and Rex was emotional beyond description. The German Shepherd practically knocked his owner down with enthusiasm, covering her face with kisses while simultaneously checking on his puppies with protective concern. "He's been going back and forth between the valley and civilization," Sarah explained as she cradled one of the tiny puppies. "I think he's been trying to lead people here for days, but no one understood what he was trying to do." But even as the team celebrated finding Sarah alive, they realized their rescue mission was far from over. The puppies were in critical condition, Sarah was suffering from exposure and malnutrition, and they were all trapped in a hidden valley that would require a complex technical extraction to escape safely. The most challenging part of the rescue was just beginning. The rescue operation that followed Sarah's discovery became one of the most complex and emotionally charged missions in Colorado search and rescue history. The immediate challenge was clear: 3 critically weak newborn puppies, an exhausted and malnourished woman, and an adult German Shepherd needed to be safely extracted from a hidden valley accessible only through treacherous climbing terrain. Detective Walsh immediately called for emergency medical support and specialized rescue equipment while Dr. Rachel Foster, the veterinarian who had examined Rex earlier, was helicoptered to the nearest accessible landing point with emergency supplies for the puppies. The logistics were staggering. The valley's location made it impossible for helicopters to land or even hover safely for an extraction. "The puppies can't survive the journey out of here without immediate veterinary intervention," Dr. Foster radioed after examining Sarah's makeshift nursery. "They're severely dehydrated and hypothermic. We need to get them to proper medical facilities within hours, not days." Sarah, despite her own weakened condition, refused to leave the valley until arrangements were made for the puppies' safety. "I've kept them alive for 9 days, she said firmly to the rescue team. "I'm not going to let them die now because of logistics." The solution came from an unexpected source. Rex had been watching the frantic human activity with obvious intelligence, and as the rescue team discussed their options, the German Shepherd did something remarkable. He picked up one of his puppies gently in his mouth and began moving toward the valley entrance, pausing to look back at the humans with unmistakable expectation. "He's showing us how to transport them," realized Maria Santos. "We can use the same technique, careful handling one at a time, keeping them warm and protected during the journey." The rescue team quickly adapted Rex's method, creating specialized carriers from their emergency equipment to keep the puppies warm and stable during the difficult climb out of the valley. Rex supervised every step of the process, checking each puppy before allowing the humans to begin their ascent. The journey back through the treacherous terrain took 6 grueling hours. Rex led the way with the same sure-footed confidence he had shown on the way in, while team members took turns carrying the precious cargo. Sarah, despite her weakened state, insisted on carrying one of the puppies herself, drawing strength from her determination to see the rescue through to completion. "I've never seen anything like it," Tom Bradley radioed to base camp as they navigated the most technical section of the climb. That dog is coordinating this entire operation. He knows exactly what needs to be done and he's making sure we do it right." As they emerged from the hidden valley, a full emergency medical team was waiting to treat both Sarah and the puppies. Dr. Foster had set up a mobile veterinary clinic at the staging area, complete with incubators and emergency life support equipment for the tiny animals. The medical evaluation revealed the full extent of Sarah's sacrifice. She had lost over 15 pounds during her 9-day ordeal, was suffering from dehydration and exposure, and showed signs of sleep deprivation from maintaining constant care of the puppies. But she had achieved the impossible. All 3 puppies were alive and responding to treatment. "What Sarah did defies every principle of wilderness survival," explained Dr. Marcus Thompson, Sarah's boyfriend and a wilderness medicine specialist who had joined the rescue effort. "Standard protocol is to prioritize your own survival above all else." She risked her life for animals that weren't even her own. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect of the entire rescue was Rex's behavior throughout the ordeal. The German Shepherd had somehow understood that his owner was in a situation where she couldn't call for help in the conventional way, so he had taken on the responsibility of bringing help to her. Rex made multiple trips back toward civilization over the past 9 days, Sarah explained to investigators as she recovered at the local hospital. "I think he was trying to lead people back to the valley, but no one understood what he was trying to do until yesterday. He never abandoned me or the puppies, but he never stopped trying to find help either." The story of Sarah's rescue and Rex's heroic efforts quickly spread beyond the local community. News outlets from around the country picked up the story of the woman who risked everything to save orphan puppies and the dog who refused to give up until he found help. But the most important questions remained unanswered. How had Rex known to lead the search team to exactly the right location? And what had happened to the puppy's mother in the first place? As Sarah recovered in the hospital and the 3 German Shepherd puppies grew stronger under Dr. Foster's care, investigators began piecing together the full story of what had really happened in the Colorado wilderness. What they discovered was a tale of interconnected events that revealed the deeper truth behind the remarkable rescue. The breakthrough came when Park Ranger Mike Harrison decided to investigate the hidden valley more thoroughly. During a follow-up expedition to document the rescue site, he made a discovery that explained everything: the remains of an adult female German Shepherd, partially concealed under fallen rocks near the valley's entrance. Based on the evidence, it appears the mother dog was killed in a rock slide approximately 2 weeks ago, Dr. Foster explained after examining the remains. The Geological Survey team confirms that recent spring weather caused several significant slides in that area. The mother was probably exploring the valley when the slide occurred. But this discovery only deepened the mystery of how Rex had known about the puppy's location. DNA testing confirmed that the deceased female was indeed the mother of the 3 rescued puppies, and further investigation revealed she had been microchipped. The shocking revelation was that she belonged to Dr. Elena Martinez, Sarah's 78-year-old grandmother who lived in nearby Boulder. Grandmother Elena had mentioned that her dog Bella had been missing for about 2 weeks, Sarah explained to Detective Walsh during her debriefing. But we all thought she had gotten confused about dates or that Bella had just wandered off. Elena has early-stage dementia, and we didn't take the report seriously enough. The pieces of the puzzle began falling into place with heartbreaking clarity. Bella, a retired breeding dog who had given birth to Rex 5 years earlier, had somehow found her way to the remote valley where she gave birth to an unexpected final litter. When the rock slide killed her, the newborn puppies were left completely helpless in one of the most inaccessible locations in the entire park. Rex must have sensed something was wrong with his mother, Dr. Foster theorized. German Shepherds have extraordinary scent abilities and strong family bonds. He somehow tracked her scent to the valley and discovered the situation. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect of the entire story was what happened next. According to Sarah's journal and the physical evidence at the site, Rex had been making regular trips between his home and the hidden valley for several days before Sarah's hiking expedition, trying to care for his helpless siblings while searching for a way to get human help. "The morning I left for my scouting trip, Rex was acting strange," Sarah remembered. "He kept running toward the park entrance and then coming back to me like he wanted me to follow him. I thought he was just excited about the hike. I had no idea he was trying to show me something urgent." Sarah's decision to explore the north face of Bear Mountain had been influenced by Rex's unusual behavior, though she hadn't realized it at the time. "He kept pulling me off the marked trails toward areas that weren't on my planned route. I followed him because I trust his instincts in the wilderness, but I thought he was just chasing scents or playing." When Sarah discovered the puppies in the hidden valley, Rex's behavior finally made sense. He had been searching for days for someone who could provide the constant care his baby siblings needed to survive. Sarah, with her wilderness survival skills and deep love for animals, was exactly the person he had been trying to find. What's remarkable is that Rex understood the situation required human intervention, explained Dr. Marcus Thompson, who had joined the investigation team. He knew the puppies needed more care than he could provide alone, so he developed a strategy to bring help to them. The story took another emotional turn when grandmother Elena was brought to the hospital to meet the rescued puppies. Despite her dementia, she immediately recognized the genetic traits that marked them as Bella's offspring, and her joy at seeing Rex reunited with his family was profound. "These babies are a gift from Bella," Elena said with tears in her eyes as she gently held one of the puppies. She made sure they would find their way to people who could love and care for them. As the puppies grew stronger and Sarah completed her recovery, the question became what would happen to the remarkable family that fate had brought together. The answer would prove that sometimes the most beautiful endings come from the most challenging beginnings. The final chapter of their story was about to unfold, and it would demonstrate that the bonds formed in crisis often become the strongest connections of all. 3 months after the dramatic rescue from the Hidden Valley, the story of Sarah Martinez, Rex, and the orphan puppies had evolved into something even more beautiful than anyone could have imagined. What began as a wilderness emergency had transformed into a tale of family, purpose, and the extraordinary connections that can emerge from the most challenging circumstances. The 3 German Shepherd puppies, now healthy and rapidly growing under Dr. Foster's expert care, had been named Hope, Faith, and Courage by Sarah and her grandmother Elena. Each puppy displayed the intelligence and loyalty characteristic of their breed, but they also showed remarkable traits that seemed to reflect their extraordinary beginning. Hope, the smallest of the 3, had developed an uncanny ability to sense when people were in distress, often approaching visitors to the veterinary clinic who were worried about their own pets. Faith showed exceptional problem-solving skills, figuring out complex puzzles and challenges that impressed even experienced dog trainers. Courage displayed the protective instincts that had driven his father Rex to orchestrate their rescue, always positioning himself between his siblings and any perceived threats. Sarah had made a complete physical recovery, but the experience had changed her profoundly. Her adventure tourism business had evolved to include wilderness safety programs specifically designed to teach people how to handle emergency situations involving wildlife and domestic animals. The story of her 9-day vigil in the Hidden Valley had attracted international attention, leading to speaking engagements and consulting opportunities with search and rescue organizations around the world. "What I learned in that valley is that survival isn't just about keeping yourself alive," Sarah explained to a group of wilderness guides during a training seminar at her expanded facility. "Sometimes survival means making sacrifices to protect those who can't protect themselves." Rex taught me that family extends beyond blood relations to include any living being that needs our help. Rex had become something of a celebrity in the search and rescue community. His ability to lead humans to specific locations and his apparent understanding of emergency situations had attracted the attention of training specialists from across the country. He was now working as a demonstration dog for advanced search and rescue techniques, showing other canines and their handlers how to communicate complex information during crisis situations. But perhaps the most heartwarming development was what happened with grandmother Elena. The joy of watching the puppies grow and thrive seemed to slow the progression of her dementia, giving her renewed purpose and energy. She had moved into a small apartment near Sarah's cabin, where she could help care for the growing German Shepherd family. "The puppies remember Bella somehow," Elena told Dr. Foster during one of their regular checkups. "When I talk to them about their mother, they listen with the same attention Rex shows. It's like Bella's spirit lives on in all of them." Dr. Marcus Thompson, Sarah's boyfriend, had become an integral part of the expanding family. His veterinary expertise combined with Sarah's wilderness knowledge had created a unique partnership that benefited both their professional work and their personal relationship. He had proposed to Sarah in the Hidden Valley where they first truly understood the meaning of sacrifice and commitment. The Hidden Valley itself had been designated as a protected wildlife area, with limited access to preserve its pristine beauty while allowing for educational visits. A small memorial to Bella had been placed near the entrance, honoring the mother dog whose final act had been to bring together a family that crossed species lines. Faith, Hope, and Courage were now old enough to begin specialized training programs. Faith would join Rex in search and rescue work. Hope was being trained as a therapy dog for hospitals and care facilities, and Courage was showing exceptional promise as a wilderness guide dog for people with disabilities. Each of these dogs carries part of Bella's legacy, Dr. Foster observed as she watched the young German shepherds work through their training exercises. But they also carry the spirit of what happened in that valley, the understanding that sometimes the greatest strength comes from caring for others. The annual Rex Day celebration had become a tradition in the local community, bringing together search and rescue teams, wilderness enthusiasts and animal lovers to honor the remarkable chain of events that had saved 4 lives and created a new kind of family. The event raised funds for wilderness safety education and animal rescue programs throughout Colorado. As Sarah watched Rex training his daughter Faith in search techniques while Hope provided comfort therapy to Elena and Courage learned to guide disabled hikers through mountain trails, she realized that their story was still being written. The bonds forged in crisis had created something lasting and beautiful. A legacy of courage, loyalty, and love that would continue to touch lives for generations to come. If this story of extraordinary courage, unbreakable family bonds, and the power of instinct over impossibility has moved your heart, remember that every day animals demonstrate the same loyalty and intelligence that Rex showed in the Colorado wilderness. Their ability to understand human needs and take action beyond their own survival instincts reminds us that heroism comes in all forms and that family is defined not by blood but by the willingness to sacrifice for those we love. Subscribe to our channel to discover more stories of animals whose remarkable intelligence and devotion inspire us to believe in the power of determination and love. Like this video if Rex's story touched you, and share it with someone who understands that sometimes the greatest heroes have 4 legs and hearts bigger than we ever imagined possible. Together, we can celebrate the incredible spirits who show us that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's choosing to act with love even when the odds seem impossible.